Like, this is like classic, basic, simple, like, no, conflict of interest. We should not do this. This is not a thing we should do. But actually owning stocks in these companies is not the biggest way, I think, that our lawmakers are influenced by defense contractors. There's something more subtle going on here that I think is actually the best explanation, and it has to do with this excellent map. This map was assembled by an Air Force veteran and analyst named Christian Sorensen. This map makes it easy to see how contractors intentionally allocate their operations all across the country, spanning dozens of states and political districts. Building all of this stuff means jobs, which people like. So lawmakers are incentivized to keep these contractors making stuff in their district, to provide jobs for their people so they can keep getting elected. It's honestly brilliant. It's smart. This is political engineering. You can see it very clearly with lawmakers like Roger Wicker, a senator from the state of Mississippi. Senator Wicker is a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on Armed Services, which plays a huge role in giving taxpayer money to the Pentagon, which in turn feeds the bottom line of the contractors. Wicker loves the military. You often hear him advocating that we should spend way more on the military.
We need, in the United States, to spend more on defense. It's a necessity.
He writes op-eds in the New York Times calling for more shipbuilding. And when you look at his state, you realize, of course he does. The largest employer in Mississippi is this naval shipyard run by a defense contractor named Huntington Ingalls, which means more jobs and economic stimulus for Wicker's people in his state, which means a better likelihood of being reelected. Now, these defense contractors know that Senator Wicker is an important part of their bottom line, so they contribute huge amounts of money to his campaign to make sure he gets reelected. It's this virtuous cycle between Senator Wicker and the defense contractors that results in us spending more money on things that maybe we don't need to. Senator Wicker's job is to represent the American people. He sits on a committee that is supposed to be looking at our national security as a whole. And yet, thanks to the strategy of these for-profit defense contractors, this lawmaker has way too much incentive to advocate for more military spending, which is exactly what he does. My issue here is less with Senator Wicker or Congressman Mike Rogers, who has the same thing, sits on a committee, gives a bunch of money to the Pentagon, has a state where billions of dollars of defense contract money comes into, takes tons of money from defense contractors for his campaign, gets reelected, continues to approve more money for the Pentagon, etc. My issue is with the system that allows this to happen, that allows the money from our military spending to be used to influence our lawmakers into more military spending. It's so clearly a conflict of interest. And it is this system that has created an environment where there is very little political pushback to the endless ratcheting up of our military budget.
No congressperson wants to be the person who loses jobs in their district. Nobody wants to be the one known as shutting down a plant and people becoming unemployed. And so Lockheed can say, we have to have increased funding of this contract or you will lose jobs. And so that idea that jobs are essential, the Department of Defense spending is essential, really gives the contractor political power.
Let me make one point clear, which is that this isn't all corporate lobbying that contributes to the US spending so much on the military. That would be too lazy of an explanation.